All right, everyone. Welcome back to the corner. We've got just a little bit of stuff to go over this week because we already went over the Super Bowl. We're going to go over some prop betting, just some fun stuff, and get into some entertainment that's going to be happening during the Super Bowl. But let's start off first with some trades going on. We already saw the Detroit Lions and the Rams made a trade. Matthew Stafford's going to the Rams for two first round picks and a third round pick this year. So two first round picks are a 22 and a 23 and a third round pick this year to the Rams. So the Lions are getting that back and Jared Goff. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there with those two players. Looking at my notes here, does this trade have anything to do with Deshaun Watson, Jimmy? Or you think it's just going to be kind of their own thing?
I think it's just gonna be their own thing. I mean, really, it's kind of like a basketball trade because I think they had to throw in that 23 first rounder, basically to offset Jared Goff's contract, which is kind of weird because it's not quite the Brock Osweiler, here take a second to take this money and he's a bum. Because Jared Goff is going to be their starter going forward. I'm curious if they are going to still try and swing for the fences and draft a QB at, I think they're at 7,
Yeah.
or if they, since they have extra picks, or they try to move back. Lord knows they have enough holes. But yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with Watson, because I don't even think this is, close to a starting point of what you would need to get Watson at all.
So we've heard some chatter around the NFL about what it would take to get Watson, and I think if I remember correctly, it was like two number ones and like two defensive like studs or two young defensive players. So if I'm the Bears, I mean, okay, you can have my 20th pick this year. If we're decent next year, you can have my other late round pick, and then take Jalen Johnson, who I know we love, and maybe like Kyle Fuller or maybe a front lineman who's relatively young. Do you think the Bears would do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because there's since Houston hasn't come out and said that they are going to trade him, it just seems like a lot of smoke and mirrors. I've heard, um, like you said, the two ones and then two young starters. Then I heard it was the don't even call unless it's three ones and at least one starter. And then some people were saying four ones, which I think you can't do more than 3 years out anyway. So you would have to, break that up a little bit. Um, some people on Twitter are talking about Jalen Johnson, Roquan, and two number ones. And I mean, I think it's part of it is because as the Bears, we never had a quarterback, so we don't even know how to react to that. But because you can get a generational talent at quarterback, and obviously it's more valuable than a middle linebacker. But man, that's just a lot to give up when there's a lot of holes. That defense is just getting older and older, so I don't even know how much your window is open anymore. Anyway, I
Right.
mean, Mac is going to be 30, and that's kind of on the downturn. Yeah, but I mean, I think Pace and Nagy know if they don't do something, they're gone. So they're going to have to make some type of big splash move. Otherwise, lame duck season, go out with Foles, and then you're gone anyway.
Yeah, they need to take some kind of swing, whether it's for Deshaun Watson or for Derek Carr. Um, I mean Jimmy Garoppolo. I know we don't really care for him on this show, but honestly, at this point, a guy with a broken leg is probably better than what we have on the team, Dak Prescott. Um, so let's move on from that. Let's talk about some of the quarterback carousel here that's going to be going on. So just a short list here, not very many. We've got Jimmy G, Famous Jameis, Taysom Hill, Fitzmagic, Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Andy Dalton, Derek Carr, Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew. These are all guys who could very well be on a different team when the season starts up again in September. I don't know about you, but I could see, and I've seen some rumors about Famous Jameis coming here. I really don't want him. We don't need 30 picks. Like, it's bad enough we got guys who can't play hardly at all, but we don't need a guy just throwing out bombs there every day, like punts that basically get turned over. So realistically, of those quarterbacks I just listed off, uh, who could you see the Bears either making a move for, or guys who might be getting be free agents already that the Bears might throw some money at to either be a backup to whoever they pick or be their guy?
Well, and then you got Wentz. There's
Oh yeah,
talks of
Wentz.
him getting traded, and Cam is going to be a free agent again,
Oh
which
yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that one. But Yeah, I mean, like you said, a nice short list of half the league.
Yeah.
So so that in itself is going to be crazy. If we thought the quarterback moves last year were crazy, this year is should blow that out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, back to like what I said, what they have to make some type of big splash move. I mean, we like Fitzmagic, but that's not a splash move.
No, that's a
If
safe
you
move.
take him right, if you take him, that's hoping Mac Jones is there at 20, and then he's your bridge for a year or two while Mac Jones sits behind him in the draft. But I mean, short of that, I mean, Foles has a player option, so unless they trade him, he's going to be back. Some way he's going to be on the roster because he's not going to turn down. I think it's 23 million.
Yeah.
Um, I
Crazy.
mean, I really like Dak, but I think they're going to tag him, and then you're going to have to do some type of compensation with ones, multiple, maybe two or three, and that's even if nobody knows, how healthy he is anyway. Um, I don't, most of this list, I don't want it.
Yeah,
I'm
me
saying
neither. I really don't.
yeah, I mean, if you're going splash, I mean, Carr, it would have to only be Carr, Dak, or I mean, Wentz would be a splash, but the way he's been playing lately, it's a splash with name only and contract. I don't know if it's a splash talent wise.
Well, and that's the other issue we're going to run into here is they're going to have to pay someone. I mean, they're not going to get any of these guys on the cheap. I mean, if you want Dak Prescott, you're either going to have to hope to God that, I don't know if his ankle injury is going to be, get him any less money. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to help him, but he pretty much commands his own what he wants right now. I mean, he's the face of that franchise down there in Dallas. So he's going to be, pay me this or let me find somewhere else. And that's when you see them probably tag him where he'll make probably like 30, 32 million or something like that, whatever the salaries are for the tag for quarterbacks. But I mean, the list, I mean, I don't want Jacoby Brissett. I mean, what do we want? A guy just to run the ball at the 1 yard line to get a QB sneak? That's all he can do. Taysom Hill will probably be the starter down in New Orleans when Drew Brees retires this year. So he's gone. And like you said, with Fitzmagic, we love him, but is he your guy? I mean, yeah, he might be a bridge, but then that means what are you gonna do with Foles? Because you can't have Fitzmagic and Foles on the same team. Then say hopefully draft Mac Jones. It won't work.
It's a long bridge.
It's a long bridge. Fitzmagic can still play. I mean, he hasn't really slowed down yet. And I even how old is he? Is he 30 yet? Is he like 32?
Fitzpatrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like 34.
34. Okay. So he's not, again, we got Tom Brady playing the Super Bowl at age 43. So it's not like, age is just a number at this point in the NFL. But let's move on from these guys. It's just, there's a lot of moving pieces here that could happen. I've heard a lot of things about Kirk Cousins could be traded. I mean, that guy's not good to begin with. So the 84 million he grabbed the bag and he ran with it. Good for him. Congratulations. But, you're just a trash quarterback. And he went to Michigan State, which is my favorite team. So it's real hard for me to say stuff like that, but he's just not good at all.
There's talks of Jimmy G for Kirk Cousins straight up. And I honestly don't know why you would do either one because you're getting, I mean, I guess the idea is Kirk Cousins played with Shanahan in Washington.
But
guess. It's the same dude. I mean, it's the same guy. I mean, the money's not that different. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess, take my trash, I'll take yours. I guess Patrick is 38.
He's 38. Wow. Wow. I mean, with Kirk Cousins and Jimmy G, it's like, okay, what are you going to do if Kirk Cousins doesn't have Dalvin Cook and you're relying on him to make all those throws? Because I mean, in San Francisco, they've got a committee running back crew. They don't have like one guy that's the guy. So if one of those guys goes down and then it's just down to two, I mean, we saw last year, one had COVID, two of them were hurt. It was like, who are they going to throw out there? What's his name? The Juszczyk, the fullback. Is he your running back?
I mean, what do you do? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? I mean, they're talking like Mike Allstott money back then, So yeah. All right. So let's move on to the coaches. Now this is kind of your bread and butter. I'm going to let you take the wheel on this because I am not familiar with all these coaches. You do a lot more deep diving than I do. So you go ahead and take over from here.
So this year there were 7 openings, unfortunately, not 8 for the Bears. So basically it was Jacksonville Chargers, which I thought was an odd one. Philly, also an odd one. Jets, Houston, which it's a whole nother thing. Detroit, and then Atlanta. So Jacksonville, they got Urban Meyer. You've probably heard of him. He was the head coach at Bowling Green, Utah, maybe a couple other small schools,
Yeah.
Ohio State, Florida, maybe stuff like that, maybe a couple national championships. That one I kind of like. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the college coaches coming to the NFL because it's just a whole, not even the whole different game, but it's a different mentality. You're not coaching 19 and 20-year-olds that are looking up to you. You're coaching grown ass men that have a family
Yeah.
and they're in it for them. It's not, there's obviously there's gonna be some team building exercises, but you're not gonna put a 19-year-old in a doghouse at NFL. So there's that guy. Brandon Staley is the new head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. He's actually the DC from the Rams. Um, Apparently, if you've ever seen a picture of Sean McVay, you can get a head coaching job somewhere because his staff just gets picked over year after year. Brandon Staley actually was with the Bears for a little bit. He's from the Vic Fangio tree.
Okay.
So, I mean, I thought it was kind of odd that they go DC. Um, when you have Justin Herbert, you think you get like a quarterback kind of centric coach. I haven't heard anything about who his staff is, which I kind of talk on that a little bit later. Um, the Eagles was an odd one, especially with what we're talking about with Carson Wentz. Talks of him being traded. They're not going to trade Jalen Hurts. He's on second round money, so there's no way he's getting traded. Wentz he had that one MVP ish year before he got hurt. It has been the same since. But they hired Nick Sirianni, who is the offensive coordinator from the Colts. Now, the reason that is weird is so they fired Doug Peterson and they hired the OC from the Colts, whose head coach is Frank Reich. Frank Reich learned under Doug Peterson, and he was his OC. So you say, no, we got to get Doug Peterson out of the building, and then you get somebody that's one level away from, what he's teaching.
Picked him off the same tree, basically.
Right. So, I mean, that one's kind of odd, especially when, like I said, you have the two quarterbacks. So if you get somebody from the Doug Peterson, Frank Reich tree, I mean, that's when they had the most success with Carson Wentz. So it's kind of odd you would get somebody like that, and then you would trade Wentz, and then you would start Hurts was a kind of different quarterback all around. So that's kind of a weird, like you said, picking from the same kind of tree. New York Jets got Robert Saleh. He's the DC from the Niners.
Watch out for him. He's going to be a good coach this year.
I think that one. I mean, I'll ask you afterwards, but I think that's probably my favorite hire. I know you're a big fan of his, and I think he's going to bring something to the Jets that they've been missing for years. I don't know why they ever hired Adam Gase. I mean, like looking all around, that was a head scratcher anyway. So I mean, that guy, I think he's gonna bring the discipline, and then they have to figure out what they're doing with quarterback. I mean, you're at the number 2 pick. There's talks of them liking Sam Darnold, but it's getting close to draft season. So obviously, you're not going to say I'm taking a quarterback. We like who we got. That way, they can get offers, things like that. Even if they move down to 5. They can still get a quarterback. So the Jets are something, I like the coaching, the head coaching hire. Once again, I haven't heard very many coaching staff hires, which is odd because I thought usually when you got a head coaching, they had all their guys lined up already.
Normally they do.
It seems I haven't seen really any full staffs come out yet of any of these hires so far. A lot of them they're waiting on this guy or that guy. Some people got fired and they got picked up, which, like I said, it doesn't make sense because you would think that they would, when you go and have an interview, you say, okay, if you're going to be the head coach, who's your OC, who's your DC? And you're going to say, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully this guy gets fired. Otherwise, I don't know. I'll have to see.
Well, it's funny is when you were talking about Adam Gase, the reason why he got any head coaching jobs is he had one good year with Jay Cutler. I mean, that one good year he was Jay Cutler's OC, and then he left and went to Miami where he was terrible, and then he left and went to New York where he was terrible. So I mean, he won't get a head coaching job again. I don't think, at least not now. Probably an OC again somewhere for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, back to Gase, like, yeah, that's his bread and butter. Is he was, um, I don't know if he was the OC or just quarterbacks coach for Peyton Manning in Denver. Which, okay, Peyton Manning was the coach. Like, you're just there collecting the
Yeah.
check.
Yeah.
So, and then the last three hires, I guess. I mean, I would say they're the worst ones, but Houston, bottom of the barrel. They got David Coley. He's the Ravens was the Ravens assistant head coach. He's been in the NFL probably 30 years, and he was also the passing game coordinator, which is not good because the Ravens did not have a passing game at all.
No, they
So
didn't.
I would probably just strike that from my resume and be like, I don't know who did that. Um, Detroit, that's the
Watch
one
out for
thing
them.
that
He's
we
gonna eat
can,
you. He's gonna
yeah,
eat you.
that's the one thing we can always count on as a Bears fan. Never have to worry about Detroit. No matter who is there, you don't have to worry about him. So they hired Dan Biting Kneecaps Campbell. Um, he, I don't know, I don't get it. I mean, he was a tight end coach and for the Saints, and you can insert some Dwight Schrute here. He was assistant to the head coach,
Oh,
not assistant head coach, to the head coach.
got him his
He's
coffee.
just, yeah, he's just a big rah rah guy. I mean, he'd be perfect for college. We talked about Urban Meyer, maybe not being able to make the transition. Dan Campbell would be perfect for college because he's going to go in there and he's going to do the biting kneecaps. He's going to do Jameis Winston's eating the W, and they're just going to eat it up and they're going to love it. You pull that in the Lions locker room, yeah, it's not going to be going so well.
Dan the
Um,
Cannibal Campbell.
Yeah, there you go. And then
Boom.
the last one is Atlanta hired Arthur Smith. Um, I said one of the worst, but I kind of like this hire. He was the OC from the Titans. Basically, you know, he needs to be on Ryan Tannehill's Christmas card list because he got him that $100 million contract when everybody was just figuring that Tannehill was done. So he turned his whole career around. Um, and then we've seen what he's done with Derrick Henry. I mean, then again, it's not that hard to, let Derrick Henry get 30 carries a game.
Yeah.
So out of those, I mean, I already said kind of who my favorite is, who I think your favorite is, but who's your favorite hire out of that? Worst hire, and then we can discuss the one glaring name once again.
All right. So my favorite hire, and we've mentioned this I don't know how many times, is Robert Salah. The guy is just I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about how energetic he is when he's running up. I mean, he'll run the entire length of the field when his team's on defense. If there's like an interception and the guy's running it back, he will be like on that guy's heels the whole way on the sideline. I mean, he is like, I know you talk about rah-rah coaches. He's a rah-rah coach, but he's rah-rah in the best way. He's the guy who would probably smash his head against someone's helmet when they make a good tackle. Like, that's the kind of coach you want. You don't want a guy who's going to come in and talk a big game. You want a guy who's going to get on the field and mix it up with the players and join in with them when they're getting crazy and have no care for his body, because that's what he does. So with him being the head coach, I can really see that defense taking a big step if he gets the right pieces in there. And maybe that's what they do. Maybe they stick with Darnold and they trade that number 2 pick, or maybe they go after some defensive player, a stud, who they really are looking at. I know in the top 5 or 6 right now, it's pretty much all offense, either offensive linemen, quarterbacks, or wide receivers. But or maybe they get Devonta Smith at number 2. Who knows? I mean, I know he's projecting to get down the board because of his size, and I know there's worry about him, being 170 pounds and not being able to make it. But hey, we got Darnell Mooney. The guy weighs 175, so I think he could be fine in the NFL. Worst hire on here, pretty much anyone Houston hires. I mean, unless they made a great, if Houston got Urban Meyer, then I'd be like, okay, that's a good hire. That's a good hire. They, maybe Deshaun Watson want to stick around because, he's a good coach. But you hired a guy who, like you said, who was the passing coordinator for a team that didn't throw the damn ball. You had Lamar Jackson's a running quarterback. He's not a passing quarterback. So what's your passing coordinator doing for the guy who can't throw? So I definitely see them, that's a bad hire. And then, the obvious name that's missing is Eric Bieniemy. That guy, and I know you're going to say the same thing. How does he not have a head coaching job? I mean, he's been in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row now as the offensive coordinator with the greatest show on grass, I guess, because it's not on turf, and he can't get a head coaching job. come on. I mean, the Rooney Rule is garbage right now. They're just that is strictly just a mouthpiece rule. Let's bring in a minority. Okay, well, we're not going to hire him anyway, but just bring him in just to interview him. So I feel terrible for Eric Bieniemy because that guy deserves a job as a head coach, and he's not getting his shot.
Yeah, I mean, the the whole thing with him is they said, well, he doesn't call the plays. Matt Nagy didn't call the plays. Doug Peterson didn't call the plays, and their head, well, not anymore, but they both got head coaching jobs, and nobody said anything. Then it was, well, his. If you look at his past, he had that DUI when he was in college in 1989 or something like that. Like, because nobody on the team has any issues or anything like that.
No,
Robert Kraft, wasn't hanging out in a massage parlor. Like, it just the backflips they do to try and um, you know justify.
they give you every reason why they're not going to do it, but no reason why. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's all it is.
Right. And like you said, no matter, even if he's not calling the plays, you guys took Sean McVay's quarterback coach to be the head coach of the Bengals. Zach Taylor did nothing. Nobody's even heard of Zach Taylor. And like I said, he smelled Sean McVay's farts and he got a job. Like, it doesn't it like I said, the Rooney Rule, I mean, it is what it is. It's one of those things, like, yeah, it's a good idea, but there's no incentive um, for them to do the right thing. And then a lot of times the owners are, old white rich guys, so they don't care about that anyway.
Well, let's just real quick. Let's go through some of the coaches that have been picked off of the Andy Reid tree, or the tree that the Bill Belichick tree. I mean, Andy Reid. So you've Andy Reid was a head coach in Philadelphia for a long time, wasn't he? For a while there,
Mm-hmm.
was he the head coach in Philly? Who came off in, or he was also in Green Bay? Who came off those staffs? Steve Mariucci, uh, John Gruden. You've got I know Mike Holmgren. Those three guys were all awesome coaches from Andy Reid. And Bill Belichick, he's got his own tree of people. And what do they all do? They all go nowhere when they get off of his tree. Josh McDaniels, head coach, sucked. Back to being offensive coordinator. Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator, sucked as a head coach. Back to no man's land right now. I don't even think he has a job. Then you got the Sean McVay tree, where it's like you said, they sniff his farts and they basically get a head coaching job. It's all, and what the one theme I have here in common with these coaches, white. They're all white. They're all white head coaches who were got their start somewhere else. So it's bullcrap that Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach right now, because they're gonna draw up some other stuff from his past and say, oh, it's because of this. No, it's because of the color of his skin. I mean, there's not very many black coaches in the NFL. There's not very many minority coaches in the NFL to begin with. We have Robert Salah as the first Muslim American coach ever in the NFL as a head coach, which is great. But you got guys sitting out there who are not running the show, but basically coordinating the offense for one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game potentially, and he can't get a head coaching job. Come on, it's not even funny. It's maddening to see a guy like that not get a job.
Right, because this is everything that's being said now is exactly what they said last year, and they said, okay, well, next year. They just kicked the can down the road.
I mean, in Houston, like, of all places, like, you'd think, boom, there's a lock right there. You got a dysfunctional organization. Why don't you pick a guy who you think has a background or a history of some sort of problems? No, they pick a guy who's a passing coordinator for the team that doesn't throw the ball. So just a stupid rule in the NFL. And even I think Art Rooney, or whoever the Rooney is over there in Pittsburgh, is like, they need to revise it or something like that, or to explain what the Rooney Rule is for. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. That's all I can say about that. It's ridiculous. All right, let's move on here. So let's get to some outlandish Super Bowl prop bets. All right, these are the fun ones. So let's see here. First one here is, which number will be higher, sacks plus interceptions or touchdown passes? Ooh, I'll let you go first. Right? I got to think of that one. I got to think. What's your answer on that?
That's the thing. Like, this whole list really makes you think, because, I mean, we kind of talked about it. I can see probably three for Mahomes, maybe two for Brady. And then the Chiefs have that banged up O-line, which we can also talk about that half haircut. the backup center guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this. I want to go sacks and ints. I think.
I'm gonna go touchdown passes. I think it's gonna be like 7. I think there's gonna be 4 touchdown passes from Mahomes and 3 from Brady. And I think both like we'll get to the offensive line, but if they can hold up, I mean, and keep Mahomes clean, Tom Brady's not gonna get touched, not hardly. And if he does, it's gonna be once, maybe twice in the whole game.
Flag.
Yeah, and it'll be a flag because All right. Shortest touchdown over under 1.5 yards. Oh man, there's always that QB sneak from the half-yard line.
Right. Well, I'm gonna say it's Brady, so
yeah, I'm gonna say over. I'm gonna say over on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under because I can see somebody getting a PI and get the ball on the 1, and like you said, a QB sneak or just fall forward for a touchdown.
Okay. Let's see here. How many times will Bill Belichick be named or be mentioned? Over under 1.5. I'm gonna say under. I think they're gonna say it one time, and then that'll be it. I don't think they need to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, I like that too. I think it is a good line at the 1.5, but yeah, I'm gonna go under. I think, I don't know when they're gonna mention it. I mean, obviously, if the Bucks win, I could see that possibly going over, where they say, "Hey, look what he did without you." But I think since the Bucks aren't winning, that it'll just be 1.
Okay. What term will be mentioned first? Pandemic or COVID? You pick on this one first. I'm gonna let you pick first. I think.
See, when I seen this, my first thought was, what if they say? I mean, I guess technically it would be first, but what if they say COVID pandemic? I mean, it's technically first in the phrase.
Well, yeah,
I'm gonna go COVID.
Okay. I think they'll say pandemic, and I think they're gonna phrase it. We had this whole season during a pandemic, something like that. They're gonna say, they got through the pandemic with very little, something like that. Because COVID, you bring up like when you're doing a test or like a COVID test or COVID isolation or whatever. But I think pandemic will be brought up first, and probably Tony Romo will say it first because they have the game, don't they? It'll be Tony Romo and Jim Nantz. Okay. Yeah. How many players will attempt a pass over under 2.5? Well, 2, Tom Brady and
2 quarterbacks, yeah, and then
I'm gonna say under. I don't think they're gonna be any trick plays. I don't think you're gonna see a running back option throw or a Travis Kelce touchdown pass or anything like that.
I'm gonna go over. I think there will be some type of trickeration somewhere on there. I mean, I think maybe the Philly special kind of style where Kelce throws one. I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about the haircuts that almost cost the whole team the Super Bowl. So we had a story last week of Demarcus Robinson and Kilgore for the Chiefs. Both were on the COVID list. Now, neither of them have tested positive. They were just close contacts. But the reason for their close contacts were they were in the middle of a haircut or getting a haircut when their barber tested positive. And meanwhile, there's a line of 20 other players, Patrick Mahomes included, who were in line to get a haircut from him. So think if they hadn't tested him and gotten that result back when they did, you could potentially see half of a team or close to it on the COVID list right now. Excuse me.
Yeah, it would have been the Chad Henne show, which once again with the whole concussion, non-concussion, they would have come up with something. They would, that was his brother. That wasn't him there. Like, he's got a doppelganger. Like he was sitting at home with his pregnant fiance or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I just thought that was crazy that, like you said, in this pandemic, there you go. You don't even think about, when you're a player, you're like, all right, I gotta get looking fresh. So when I'm holding up the trophy, I'm not out here looking like me right now. And then like you said, it's like, instead of, I don't even know how it worked when they decided to test the barber, because you would think they would wait for the negative before you even started cutting hair. But I mean, at least like you said, it was only 2 deep before it got to, and what's Demarcus Robinson, like the 5th wide receiver, Kilgore's the backup center. So, I mean, it doesn't really affect the game plan too much.
Robinson's, is he their punt returner too? Or is that Hardman?
I think it's Hardman.
Okay. Yeah. So and the whole thing with the testing was, I believe he was tested like throughout the week, and then they did a rapid test and that came back positive. So it's weird to me that happened, but it did. And thank God they caught it when they did, because this could have been a very different show right now. All right. So FanDuel put out this real fun, what outcome do you get? Now, this is based on your birth year and your birth month. So if you're an odd birthday, you're the Chiefs, or an odd year, so you're the Chiefs. So Jimmy and I are 1985, so we're Chiefs. If you're an even year, you're the Bucks. So mine is the Chiefs will win on a Hail Mary pass. Jimmy, what's yours?
I have to look it up, to be honest.
You're May, right? Or you March? No, you're May.
Yeah, I'm May. I'm a
So,
month older.
Okay. So yours is the Chiefs
Game-winning pick six.
Game-winning pick six. Okay.
Yeah, which
So
I
we
like
open
that too.
we open it up to some of our faithful fans, or whoever wanted to listen on Facebook. And Jeff Chappello, who my wife works with at University of St. Francis, has the Bucks with a 30-point blowout win. So he's a even year, and that's September. So he's a September birthday. My friend Mitch Radman, Bucks running back fumbles twice. So I'm guessing that means they lose. So he's what's that? Running back fumbles twice is December. So we just had a birthday. And then our good friend Mike Smith, he posted on it too, and I got to find it again real quick here. Oh, and Chet. Oh, our friend Chet, our good friend Chet. Chet Marwa is a Bucks 30-point blowout. And Michael Smith is Bucks running back fumbles twice. So he's a December birthday too. So there you have it. Those are the outcomes we have from some friends who listen to the show, hopefully, and maybe you'll grab some more people and you can listen to them too. You got anything else to talk about, Jimmy?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, we have another hopefully show coming up here next week. We'll be talking after the Super Bowl draft stuff. So get ready for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel down below. You can find us on Facebook at BJ's Fantasy Corner, and you can find us on Twitter at BJ's Fantasy Corner. So that's it for us tonight, guys. Take care, enjoy the Super Bowl, and stay safe.